Zoning Board of Appeals meeting, Tuesday, January 28th. This is a hybrid meeting, so if you're calling in, please use *6 to mute and unmute yourself. We're being taped by MCTV, if anyone's interested. And we'll do a roll call to start, because JJ's out there.
Larry Keane here.
Brian Sullivan, present.
Brian Murphy here.
Heidi Conway here.
Jean Lee here.
Mac Brothers here.
Rob Hensley here.
What's that?
Can you guys just put your mics onto the table?
You want them on the table?
Why? I'm just like, can we move them?
So we're gonna start with,
Am I leaving?
yeah. Do you want your glasses?
No, I'm not gonna
I
move
feel like I'm at a casino.
I can hear myself echoing. Number 2505, Jonathan Bagnall and
I'm
Carolyn
just going to say that in front of you.
Pereira. The petitioners are seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1012, and 305-1010, 305-902 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to raise the existing garage and construct a 17.5 by 25.4 garage with the storage space above on the property located at 30 West Street, which is further identified on the assessor's maps and being on parcel number 305, M051107 is located in the R3 zoning district. Go ahead, name and address for the record.
I'm Rick Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor.
Jeff DeLisi, Ornberger, DeLisi, and Harris on behalf of the applicant.
No, go ahead.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward application. There's a non-conforming garage. The garage is non-conforming on the southerly side yard in the rear setback, basically less than a foot on each side. The plan is to reconstruct the garage in its existing foundation, going a little higher than what we have it now, or actually at least having a second floor. I think that, Rick, you have it as being what's your height presently? 22?
It's less than 20.
Less
Talk
than,
to the architect,
yeah.
it's less than 20 feet.
Yeah. So it'll be basically an accessory structure that won't be used for dwelling purposes, which will have a second floor.
Okay. Anything from the board?
We just sit here.
Do you have any plans that depict what you're going to construct?
No, I have plans that relate to the house that was reconstructed, but I don't have any elevations for the proposed structure.
Okay, and, it's obviously, it's tight there. Can you pull it back from the property line, or are you just going up on an existing foundation or an existing slab?
Yeah, so we're gonna go up on the existing foundation. There's a small portion, I believe, of the roof, which is encroaching over the property line. And my client had indicated to me that he was gonna seek to rectify that particular issue on the reconstruction, but as far as bringing it further off of the property, the desire is to utilize the existing foundation.
You don't feel like moving it like 6 inches or maybe a foot?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I talked to him about that.
And what is the purpose for the second floor?
It would be storage.
So there won't be any windows, or can there be no windows since it's storage? So,
There could be windows, sure.
but how about no windows since it's overlooking a bunch of yards over there? If it's not going to be used anything but for storage?
Yeah, it's not something that I discussed, but I'd be happy to talk to my client about that. No one has expressed a privacy concern to us. I think, Rick, if I'm correct, there's a structure directly behind this, correct?
Yes.
Like within a very short distance feet, am I correct? Such that in all likelihood, there wouldn't be any real privacy concern because there's gonna be a structure right next to it.
Okay, it's just hard to see because we don't have a plan, so.
Yeah.
To see what it looks like.
Yeah, I understand. I didn't think elevations were part of the application requirement, but.
It's always helpful to have a
Yep.
visual.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so, yeah, there's an existing
Is it-
shed
yeah, it's a tight
right
spot
behind
there.
it. I
Yeah,
couldn't remember how far it was, but yeah, it's right up against the fence, that existing shed. It's to the rear yard.
Yeah. They already-
it's presently more than one story, correct, Rick?
Is it some storage up above?
It looks like it's a story and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they could keep it a story and a half for the storage, or?
The idea was to be able to stand up on the second floor.
So this is Jonathan Bagnall.
Oh,
I'm
great.
online.
Yep. Go ahead, John.
I just wanted to,
Go ahead.
He's muted.
You've
You
muted yourself.
sorry, the design of the addition has no windows facing my abutters. So there are only how should I say it, like just little. They're just skylight windows on the abutter side, and the only full windows are towards my backyard.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. Go ahead.
Heidi Conway, 31 Marginal. So I'm the house with the pool, and it's really, really close. So I was just wondering if there's some way they could move it over. This is obnoxious. They could move it over a bit, because my son, Jonathan, you would probably remember, climbed from the fence, just walked onto the roof. So it's extremely, not that he should have done that, but it's extremely close, and would have no privacy if you have a second floor there. And for fire safety, why is that doing that? It is just really, really close, and it's a safety issue as far as if there was ever a fire or any kind, we're all going down there. So is there any way you could just move it over a little bit or configure it so it goes actually in your backyard? I'm not really sure, but if there's any way you could move it over. I mean, I know you obviously can't be in compliance, but, a couple feet would be great, because it literally is so close to my backyard and my neighbor Will's, which his shed's right up against it. But that's my fence, my shower's there, so if there's a second floor, it's just kind of creepy. And they're good neighbors, they're very nice people, and I don't want to cause any issues. I just think that if they could move it over a bit, that would be great.
So Heidi, I absolutely took in consideration the roof, and I actually thought raising the roof would preclude anyone from the abutting property being able to jump on the roof.
You would hope, Jonathan.
I do have plans, unfortunately, I'm not there to show you, but you'd be able to see there's no way from that building that anyone would be able to look upon your property. I am absolutely conscious of your privacy, and would be happy to show you the plans. I would consider that it's not going to be much more than what's existing there, just a little bit higher. And the consideration of moving the property, it actually puts my house out of conformance, and it would just be a big expense.
Jonathan, when you buy a house in this neighborhood, do they give you a boat? I'm looking at this photo, and everyone's got a boat in their yard.
Well, I'd have to say that's kind of the ambiance of the area, given that the boats go away in the summertime.
Get replaced with
Thank you.
jet skis.
So do we have any more questions from anybody? Andrew, you have anything to add? Bob? Oh,
Just put something in that they'll be
Sorry,
windows
Brian,
to the
real
pool,
quick.
if we don't have it.
The only thing I would add is that they would not be able to have windows on the
Any of
rear of
those?
the building or
Right.
on this side of the building, just because of the fire resistance ratings that they would have to have on that structure anyway.
Yeah.
So
They can't even.
as far as privacy concerns, there would never be windows on the rear, there would never be windows on the sides, just because of the fire resistance that they would have to have there built, but
Okay,
that's all.
that takes care of that, yeah. All right.
Right.
Go ahead, Bob.
I think it would be helpful if they put the calculation on the percentage of the rear yard that's involved here, because there's another limitation in 607 that the structure can't occupy more than 25% of the rear yard.
Do you have that, Rick?
I do not have that.
I mean, if it's over, you're in a pre-existing non-conforming situation in all likelihood,
Yeah,
but if it's not, you can't get greater than.
bigger, right.
Right.
So can we condition it for that?
Yeah, well, they're not expanding the footprint, so
Oh,
I
all
think,
right, no, they're not.
I think they're okay, but, you know, you should put that on there, so.
Okay. I would put on the plan. Anyone else have a question? Anything from the online audience?
Nothing to add here, thank you.
All right, seeing that there's not, I'm going to move that we close 2505 Jonathan Bagnall and Caroline Pereira,
Second?
30 West Street. All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Jean Lee, no.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Ramsey, aye.
I'm going to move that we grant petitioner's application for a special permit, subject to the conditions. So I don't have to talk about the windows, Andrew, because they're not allowed, right? And they just need a building permit, right?
Building permit and certificate of occupancy.
Okay. Building permits, use of occupancy, based on the finding that the applicant's proposal to raise the existing garage and construct a new 17.5 by 25.5 garage on the storage space above, on the property located at 30 West Street as shown on certified location plan dated December 16th, 2024 by Stenbeck and Taylor Incorporated, Richard Savant, PLS, meets the special permit criteria of the section 1012 of the bylaw.
Second?
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Jean Lee, no.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Ramsey, aye.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you next meeting.
Yeah. All right, so now we have 2506 Kenneth Jasper. That's you. The petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-10.12 and 305-902 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to construct a 36 by 20 foot addition and a 20 foot by 4 foot farmer's porch with the side deck extension and new deck stairs and property located at 33 Bay Street, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel M041301, located in the R3 zoning district. Go ahead.
Good evening, Rick Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor. Yes, this project is a proposed addition to the existing home at 33 Bay Street. The new work, this property's in a flood zone, so this new addition is proposed to be on driven wood piles. We have been through conservation and got approval for this. Existing non-conforming lot and structure. The new work will not be any more non-conforming. It will match the existing easterly sideline at 5 foot setback of the existing house. It does conform to the Bay Street front and the Kentucky Street frontage with the new work and the porch. And yet, as he stated, there's a small section on the westerly side of the home, like an extension of the deck to tie it into the new addition. And in the rear yard, they're just proposing to reconfigure the existing stairway that's there and move it over closer to the driveway side. We're still within the building coverage. We're at 27.9% when the project's complete. And essentially, that's what we're here for, existing non-conforming. extension.
Kay, do we have any questions from the board?
Again, to me, it looks pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I have no questions.
Andrew, have anything to add?
They've got a floodplain permit, they've gone through conservation. It is a substantial improvement. They're going to be elevating the lowest floor of what's currently a basement. They're gonna add about 6 inches or so to that, add some flood openings to the existing foundation. All the addition is gonna be on open pilings because it's in a barrier beach coastal dune. And, yeah, I've been working with the owner and the designers and everybody on this for quite some time, and it seems like a pretty straightforward zoning situation here.
Okay. Anything from the audience? Go ahead. Go up to the microphone.
Going good.
So name and address for the record.
Alice Brown, and I live at 27 Bay Street,
Well-
next door to the Jaspers.
Okay, go ahead.
I wrote something, but I'm not sure how to do this. All right. I've lived in the Green Harbor area for over 40 years. And it's a wonderful area, and put my glasses on. I've owned the property in this neighborhood for 40 years, and my parents have owned a cottage on the Elmhurst Avenue area since in the 1950s. I'm well acquainted with this unique nature of the neighborhood and history of floodings. When there was no sewage, now we've got sewage, but when we have storms that come, whether they come from the marsh or they come from the ocean. In the last few years, this neighborhood is made up of one, with Bay Street, they're Marshfield residents. The rest of them are Duxbury residents. About 4 years ago, I moved out of the Marshfield residents into the being a Duxbury resident into being the Marshfield residents. So I only didn't have to have a moving truck. My children helped me move from one house into a Marshfield house without a moving truck. So that house abuts, my neighbor now is the Jaspers. That house is in higher land than where I had been owned for 40 years. So I'm very familiar with when we get flooded. What I'm concerned and why I came to the meeting today is up until lately, when we flooded, it would come and it would go. But last year, for some unknown reason, I got undermined by my driveway. So the only concern, and I think that the Jaspers have done a great job with the design of their home. The only thing I would like to know is this landscaping plan shows the ground levels before and after the construction project, where I own this house behind the Jaspers. And I saw it being built, which is now the house that I live in. For some reason, and I don't know why it was, last year, for some unknown reason, the driveway got undermined, and it cost me several $1,000s to have it repaired. And I followed all the rules that I understood when that house was built. They came in front of the zoning board and the driveway is not paved. So I had to pay a lot of money to have my driveway reconstructed. So obviously, I'm very concerned about how the pilings that are going to be put into that big, so that when we have the next storm, whether it comes from the marsh, and last year the storm came from the marsh, not from the ocean, I'm concerned, and I don't know enough about building plans and all this other stuff, but I'd like to know from the engineer if this would, the houses, they enhance it, that to ensure that I don't have to replace my driveway with the next storm. I know it's probably a hard thing to tell me or reassure my confidence that all of a sudden, when all the trees that are being taken down at the Jasper House and the new construction go underway, that I won't lose my driveway every year we have a storm, whether it comes from the ocean or if it comes from the marsh. But that's my only question, and I just would like to have a little bit more confidence that that's not going to happen to me.
You want to give an answer for that? Ryan?
Sure. So I understand Alice's concerns. This is a well-known flood area here for sure. The water does stay in there. I can assure her that the new work will be flood compliant. The existing structure that is there is not flood compliant. It doesn't have any flood venting or anything for that matter. As part of this project, they're going to have to make the existing home flood compliant with flood vents so the water can move through the structure. If God forbid we ever get water up that high again. And the new work will be built on elevated wooden piles. So all this new work, so we'll be making the house flood compliant with venting. The new work that you see in the plan is going to be about 4 feet off the ground. So this new structure is going to be elevated on piles above the ground. So the ground surface is still going to be open below the structure. So whatever water comes and goes through there is going to be able to keep doing that. And we'll be improving that with the existing house to let the water come and go. We're not proposing any grade changes on the property. I understand we are taking some trees that are there in the front because it's necessary to get the equipment in there to drive these piles. But as far as your driveway, I can't speak to that or why that occurred, but we're not going to be changing the flood pattern of the area with this new work. We've gone out of our way to try and make sure that's the case. We won't be changing the grade on the site.
Okay.
No, I don't, I have to say, I'm still not comfortable enough to say okay.
All right. well,
Because the house that's there has been there for 25 years with the driveway as it was. And I lived right behind it. And so I'm very comfortable in what I'm saying. It's never been I'm going to say destroyed in the past. So I'm going to have to say what happens if it reoccurs. You know, it's an expensive investment to get it reconstructed, and I had to park my car. It took me about 3 months to get first I had to bring all the rocks back because they got you can't have a paved driveway there. So all the rocks that were there got moved all over the place, so I had to bring them back and then get bids on the driveway, so I had to relocate my car for several months till I could get somebody to reconstruct the driveway for me. So I'm very concerned about that, and I've expressed that to the Jaspers too, and they understand. I'm just very concerned with the pilings and everything, that, if the grade increases at all. I mean, my house was built also through with your guidance through the Marshfield builders.
Brian, can I speak to this?
Sure.
So this is Andrew Stewart. I'm the building commissioner and the floodplain administrator for the town. So this project has a floodplain permit and it has gone through the Conservation Commission. So any proposed fill that is going to be proposed to add it to this site has already been approved by the Conservation Commission. The Zoning Board of Appeals does not approve any type of, they're not going to approve any type of additional fill or any kind of additional landscaping, more so than the Conservation Commission has already approved in their public meetings for this. The addition that's going to happen is only going to be on piles. Like the engineer said, that is going to be a flood-proof structure. And they're only going to be improving the current structure to make it more compliant with flood-proof regulations. So if anything, the improvements that they're doing to the existing house and to the new work are only going to improve the functions of this structure and lot from what it previously was. And I understand that flooding in this entire area has happened a lot more frequently and with a lot more intensity and height in the last 2 years, especially on Bay Ave, Beach Street, Canal Street. So it's understandable what you've experienced, but I just think that it's not necessarily a zoning issue, it's more of a Conservation Commission issue.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right, anything else? Thank you. Go ahead.
Can you just explain where there's an opening and then it continues down to the 5 feet on the backs, on the side? Where, is that going to be like living space there?
Sorry, Heidi, which
So on the
side?
back where it says the proposed addition on wood piles, the first
Yep.
floor to match existing,
Yes,
so that's going to be living space and it's 5 feet from the lot line.
that is correct. Yep.
So, I mean, I have to say, for the record, Mike, I have some concerns about all these properties so close to the lot lines, especially where it is so cozy down there. And I know that, a lot of people don't agree with me on that, but we need to be mindful of that because just because this part of the property is 5 feet doesn't mean we have to approve this to continue to be only 5 feet. Is there any way to move it over because you have 16 feet on the other side to be a little closer, just so that's not so close there? I know.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, we'd have to be 15 on the other side, so we got about a foot there.
I just think that continuing with the 5 feet, I mean, with all the fires, the flooding, the wind, everything around here, I think that we need to be really mindful of this situation when properties are so close to the lot lines. And it's very cozy down there, just like my neighborhood, super cozy. That, I mean, there has to be, there's no way they can just meet it in the middle or something. I mean, granted, it might be not conforming on the other side as well, but still, it'll give a little bit more room. I know.
I understand.
I don't think they have the space. They could
Well, they
only go 1 foot.
Well, you can't even go 5 feet here because you don't have it. They're asking for permission to do that, and we don't have to say yes to that. I mean, I
I'm saying on the
get what
other
they want to
side,
do. Right, the 16 feet.
So they could go
current
1 foot 1.
Sideline setback is 5 feet. You're extending the pre-existing nonconformity, is that
That
correct?
is correct. Yep.
You're not creating any new nonconformities.
We're matching the existing nonconformity on that side. At the 5 for the 5,
I get that.
In addition to that, you're making the new addition completely flood compliant.
I mean,
That's correct.
Thank you.
No, it is.
No, it's not. It's 5, so I get that it's only 5 feet up here. I get that, and that's the way that it is. I just think that we need to be mindful of the fact that we don't need to continue it down the property. Just because it's 5 feet from here, doesn't mean we need to continue it down here. Sometimes it's just not okay to be doing that. And I know that people want to build their houses and do all this stuff, but I'm just wondering, is there another way so it's not 5 feet? Because 5 feet is pretty close. I mean, I have a house that's less than a foot from my fence.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that, if we're talking about fire safety, which was a big conversation about another thing, and it was 17 feet from it, we're talking 5 feet. Is there any way to, I don't want to make more
Certainly a
work for
way.
anybody,
We
do you
could
know what I'm saying?
redesign, I mean, I'm not suggesting it, but yeah, I mean, certainly could have a different shaped addition to meet that. You'd have to change the design of this and to accommodate it, but to answer your question, yeah, there is a way to do that. It was designed in this fashion, and yeah, they decided to match the existing nonconformity.
I get that.
And I know you do.
I do
So-
understand, but I'm just very concerned with all these houses being built so close to one another, and at some point, we have to be aware that it's a safety issue.
The proximity of the house next door, I totally understand what you're saying. It's not close to the line. It's a newer structure. I'm sure it conforms to the sideline setback, so it's probably 15 feet on that side. But I'm not dodging around what you're saying. I
I
understand.
know that you understand. I
I
just
do.
think there's 15 feet for a reason, and granted, this might have been done before zoning, which is great. That doesn't mean that we have to continue it. So
Yep.
I just think that our board needs to be mindful of that, because they don't, not to be picking on these people, I don't need to be doing that. I just think that there has to be something to protect people from this. It just, you shouldn't be taking up that much of your lot and going down like that. I just have never agreed with that line of thinking, and I still think, especially with all the fires happening, Sheridan, they were all far apart, but yet houses got, singed from them, fences were melted and what have you. Bob, do you have a weigh in on any of this?
On the closeness issue,
Yeah.
it's really up to you all to decide what can be safely done. And
5 foot is where the fire code kicks in, right? Correct? Under 5 foot?
Yes.
Yeah, if it goes over 5, under 5 feet.
Under 5.
That's
So-
why the other one couldn't
I
have
know there are
windows in the
different fire
garage.
ratings on the walls and things like that, but I can't speak to, whether it's fire safe in this area.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if you get a fire in a building like this and it's not sprinklered and you have a wind like we have tonight, you've got a problem.
Yeah. But with the 5 foot code, the code is set for safety. That's what the fire regulations, the 5 foot
Right,
is.
so, but if this is the house that catches on fire, then that fire code safety is not gonna help. That's not gonna help the surrounding houses. So I don't mean to make an example of anybody, I'm just concerned about the closeness of the okaying it to go further down. I just don't think that we should be doing that.
Well, at the end of the day, what you're talking about is redesigning at the meeting what the applicant is proposing, which I don't think that's the purview of this board. The board is to consider the application in front of it and apply the law, which is 40A Section 6, which allows the extension of a pre-existing non-conforming structure along the existing setbacks. Now, they could have shifted it over a foot because they've got 15 feet on the other side. They chose not to. And I don't think it's the place of this board to tell them how they should design the project. We can vote it up or down, and if you feel strongly, you could vote it down, or other members can. But I don't think that we should be like, okay, well, move it 6 inches over here, and why don't you pull it back over
Clearly, that
there?
was not my intention.
No, I understand that, and you were quite clear that that's not your intention, but that's, at the end of the day, that's kind of where we are. You're saying you want it pulled back further from that line, and they've got a foot to play with on the other side.
No, I'm
And you don't
saying
want
they
to
should meet
cost
setbacks.
anyone any additional money, but that's the reality. They would have to completely redesign their project versus what's been presented to us. And I don't think that's what this board should be doing. We should be voting up or down what is presented to us.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying, and I agree that that is our job, and I'm not doing that by any means. My point is that I think that they should have to meet the setbacks, which is 15 feet. So I don't think that we should continue to be approving these homes that are so close to the setbacks and going over the setbacks and so close to the lot lines. I think it's a safety issue, and I do not think that we should be continuing to do this.
But the law permits them to do exactly what they're proposing to do. The zoning bylaw in Marshfield and in the Commonwealth allows them to extend a pre-existing non-conforming lot line on a pre-existing non-conforming lot, provided there are no additional encroachments. And they're doing what the law entitles them to do by special permit.
But we don't have to approve the special permit. because-
Exactly.
But
So
Bob,
for
if this
clarity-
goes to court, this is generally would be overturned
Well, I mean,
if you're not applying the law.
the board has the discretion to approve or deny, and the finding is this substantially more detrimental than the pre-existing non-conforming structure? And that's the issue.
Just clarity, this is an addition, you're not raising the existing house, you're just adding on to the existing house, you're not moving the existing house.
No, we're not touching the
You're
existing
not
house.
touching the existing house.
That's already 5
That
feet off.
5 feet is gonna stay there, you're not touching it, so
Yep.
you're just extending it.
Yes.
Okay.
Existing, yeah, that's correct.
So there's a break in it, and then you're starting again, right? And going with the 5 feet.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
so
correct.
it's not a continual line.
It is a continuation. Oh,
And there is a significant difference between,
I see what you're saying. That's what she's saying.
Yeah.
it's 7.6 feet, and now it's going to be 5 feet in that corner, so when you're going over there.
Yeah, I think that's actually great, Heidi, that's 7.6, but it's more than 5.
I just,
Right, and like what the other member had said, we were just following what we've
years ago, we
historically done
actually
under
didn't do
the
this.
code.
It
Right, yeah.
When was that?
was when we first started, you and I first started, we didn't, it wasn't until Dick Rockwood brought it up. Years ago, but I'm
Bob, I
just
don't
saying-
believe that's true, though. This
It
has
is
always been the standard, as far as the law goes.
Before the Belalta case out of Brookline, we did view some of these, if you were getting closer to the lot line, as requiring a variance.
Before below.
Right,
Yeah.
but since the Belalta case was decided in 2021, we've said that you cannot require a variance if the structure is already non-conforming as to the side setback, as to the front setback, as to the rear, and it's a special permit. So then the analysis, is what you're proposing to do substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the pre-existing non-conforming structure? And that's where reasonable minds could disagree, and you have to look at the circumstances of every case, and each one's different. In some cases, you might have a house that's moving closer to the side lot line, but the house behind it is, a foot off the lot line, and moving closer is a real problem. I mean, if you could pass bread between two windows of a house, that might be too close. That's not,
Over here, right?
that's not necessarily the case here, but, that's the analysis. Is it substantially more detrimental by moving closer than the pre-existing non-conforming structure? Detrimental to the neighborhood? And in some cases, you might think it is if they're getting real close. In other cases, you may not.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything else to add? Oh, what do you, is that the house, Andrew?
Yes.
That one, yeah.
Yep, and then that's the house that Mrs. Brown is to the east of that. The driveway is in between our house and her house. I don't know the setback off the top of my head, but I know it's a newer structure, and I'm sure it
Yeah.
at least meets the 15-foot setback, so
Yeah, that looks.
20-ish
20
feet
foot.
apart of the structures there.
Yeah. All right. Well, does anyone else have anything to add? Seeing that, go ahead.
The guideline is an extension of a non-conforming. So if I have some house that's 3 feet from the property line,
I'm sorry, I don't know who you are.
on Dick Rockwood design, sorry. It, as far as designing them, it's always, for years, it's always been an extension of a non-conforming special permit. So to be able to pick and choose now which ones you like and which ones you don't, I find that now, where do we go directionally? I'm not sure we have the right.
I'm
not
clear
to.
on the law, so
Yeah, yeah.
if that's what you're adding, that's what you're
I
adding.
agree.
Thank
The
you.
law is what the law is.
I'm going to move that we close Kenneth Jasper, 2506 33 Bay Street. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conrad?
Jean Lee, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
And I am going to move, so Andrew, on this, they need a building permit, certificate of occupancy, as-built, and floodplain compliance.
That's correct, Brian, you're getting real good at this.
I move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a special permit, subject to the conditions of a building permit, certificate of occupancy, and as-built, and a floodplain compliance, based on the finding that the applicant's proposal to construct a 36-foot by 20-foot addition and a 20-foot by 4-foot farmer's porch with a side deck extension and the new deck stairs on the property located at 33 Bay Street as shown on certified location plan dated December 24th, 2024 by Stenbeck and Taylor, Richards Font, PLS, meets the special permit criteria of section 1012 of the bylaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conway, no.
Jean Lee, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Earl Hensley, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So now we have 2508 Ronald and Sherry Murphy.
We bypass one. 2507.
I got Ronald and Sherry Murphy. The petitioners, are they here?
Yep.
Petitioners are seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1012. And, what's that? Oh, sorry, I skipped over, Paul. You're next. 2507 Frank T. Powell.
Sorry.
I just wanted you to wait to the end. The petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1012 of Marshfield Municipal Code to construct a 43-foot by 34-foot attached garage with living space above the 16.5 by 32-foot family room extension on the property located at 17 Oregon Road, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel L10-0705B, and is located in the R3 zoning district. Name and address for the record.
I'm Richard Rockwood from Rockwood Design. I've done the architectural work for Frank Powell. We have been here before and got approved on this project. It had expired. Probably 3-4 months ago or 6 months ago it expired from after, our 2 years was up. We had some family issues, and now we're back into the project again. We're currently at conservation again on this project, and we've changed nothing. These are all the documents that were approved before. We haven't adjusted a thing. The existing house is non-conforming, and we're doing an extension of non-conforming with the portion that has the 3 garage doors and finished space above. Everything on the site plan is exactly the same as what we were previously approved on.
There is a third Permit Extension Act. I don't know if the board's aware of that. If your permit was in place between January 1st, 2023 and January 1st, 2025, you determine the expiration date and then add 2 years to calculate the new expiration date. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but
I would be here if I was.
You may not need this permit.
So we don't need it, right?
Well, my memory was this permit was granted in 2002.
2022.
2022.
Andrew, what's the date on this?
Yep.
February of 2022.
February 22nd, 2022.
22.
Right, so it would have been in force and effect through 2024, and your permit is still valid
For,
for your original special permit.
2 more years.
okay, for 2 more years? Okay.
Well, from two more years from the new expiration date.
Yeah, which would
From
be
24?
24, so it's February 22nd of 26. So it's really, you got another year.
Can he commence construction within a year?
Oh, we're hoping like within a month. We have conservation next week to
you don't-
finalize,
So
hopefully.
you don't need to
Just
be
trying to
here.
make
Yeah,
it a
no,
little
it's
easier.
just, we're not aware of that.
Thanks for bringing up that case, reminding me of it. I didn't skip over
And
it.
so what is the case, just for?
It's the third Permit Extension Act that went into force and effect earlier this fall.
Okay.
This past fall.
All right, thanks, Dick.
So you don't
Okay.
need it.
Do you want to submit something to Nancy that you're withdrawing this
Yeah, you
permit?
should
We'll
withdraw
need that,
without
yeah.
prejudice.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll do that tomorrow.
thank you.
All right, well, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
So now we have.
Good to see you.
2508 Ronald and Sherry Murphy. Petitioners are seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1012, 305-902 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to raise the existing structure and construct a new 2.5-story, 40-foot by 28-foot dwelling with the garage underneath, 10 foot by 16 feet enclosed porch with room above, and relocate the existing 12.4 by 20.4 garage onto the new foundation located on the property at 43 Bayview Street, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on K-12-0321, is located in the R3 zoning district. Name and address for the record?
My name is Gabriel Padilla. I am a representative with Grady Consulting. I believe the homeowner is here with us too. So we are proposing to raise and rebuild the existing house. It's currently non-conforming. The current distance to the structure from the property line is 6.4 feet. We are increasing that setback a little bit to 6.7. Other than that, we are rebuilding the garage out back. We are moving the structure to be aligned with the lot. And that's pretty much it. If there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
I just have one. It shows on that plan that I'm looking at, is that 7 feet the existing structure
Where?
on the garage?
Yes, Brian, that's correct.
So how can he move to 5 feet?
It's using the Peralta standard that Bob just described, where it was a pre-existing non-conformity.
Is 5'1"?
You're using a special permit and not a variance.
Okay. That's all right. You're right. All right. I see it now.
I just had a question. I didn't see a measurement on the setback from that now enclosed porch that has an office on top of it.
The 6'7"?
No, on the very back,
Very back.
on the very back. That structure right there, that, am I looking at it wrong? Is it, it's supposed to now be an enclosed porch with an office on top of it?
Were the barrels underneath it?
But it says 16.1 as the width,
Right there, yeah.
so that
There you go.
structure right there, what's the setback off of that structure
To the rear or to the
to the
side?
rear?
To the rear.
40 feet?
It's over 30.
38,
38?
It's over
38
40.
feet.
It's over 30 feet.
Okay. I just couldn't read that way, sorry. Just wanted to make sure I was reading it right.
All right, so.
Because that 38.3 feet looked like it was ... to the actual existing house, not to that structure.
Not to the structure. I got you.
The 38.3 is the, sorry, Mac, the 38.3 is the existing.
To the house.
That's to the existing structure here.
Yep.
The 36.3 is the new structure. Now that's what's required. What I'm not understanding though, in the plans, it looks like.
Right.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Porch above, and that's an enclosed space that would be building area. So that's within that's not demonstrated on this plan, that setback.
That's what I was missing. I wanted to
So
see.
you're talking about the deck that looks like a deck, but that's actually enclosed above. So that is beyond the 30 feet, right? How far is that? Do you know?
So that would be a total of 26 feet.
10 feet, so it's 26.3, so that would be a violation of your setback.
Right, so that's the rear bed, that would have to be moved. Do we see any other issues with this?
So,
So right here, Heidi, is only, it has to be a 30-foot setback. It doesn't have that. It is, to here, he's got 38, he's got 36 to this. But to this, he says it's only 20-something feet.
okay, so this is where.
So it's
this getting-
confusing because of the red line lines up with this here, but it doesn't on that plan.
So why are we moving this closer instead of keeping it in the footprint?
Because of the Bob Bellata rule.
And because this is 6.4 here, we're gonna stick with it all the way down? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So we'd need to have these plans redrawn, right, Andrew?
Andrew, this is Ron. If I could make one comment.
Well, you'd be coming through me, I'm the chair.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Andrew?
You can have everybody speak at the microphone so we can hear them online.
Yeah, I will. But so would he have to redraw these plans so we could have the correct setback on there? We can continue this to the next
Yeah,
meeting.
So this area right here
Right,
is the area that's bumping out, so that's building area.
right, that's not
It's a wall, and it's, so that's.
non-conforming.
that's
We're making
this
it non.
area here, so that's going beyond the 30-foot setback, so.
Yeah, on our plans, that red dotted line looks like it's clean, but on this one, it doesn't.
That's a variance.
Right, that's a variance. That's why I'm saying it has to come back.
Yeah.
It's drawn properly. So do you have a problem redrawing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so
Name and address for the record.
Ron Murphy, 43 Bayview Street.
Yep.
I think it's just the drawing, because the house is 40 feet, the screen porch is 10 feet, that's 50 feet. The backyard is 30 feet, the front yard's 20 feet.
Yeah, on this
Front
plan,
yard,
the plan
yeah.
that we have shows the red dashed line is working. But on the one on, is there a different plan here?
Yeah, the plan I'm looking at says
It's correct, but that
40
red,
feet, 40 feet 2 inches to the house. And if that's a 10-foot addition right there, that'd make it 30 feet.
30 foot too, but that's, our plan
That's
that
what
we
I'm looking at,
have
yeah.
shows it as being correct, but the one that's up on the board doesn't.
Right.
Andrew, what is the date of the stamped plan that you're showing?
We're looking at October something 2024.
Okay, I see what they did. Yep.
So is that inaccurate? Is that a different plan that Andrew's showing us and you're showing us? You have the incorrect plan.
That's what I'm looking at, so it seems like the.
What's the date on there, Larry? Bottom corner. With your glasses.
Same date.
What?
December 30th, 24?
Oh, that's newer.
Yeah.
Ours it says December 30th.
In this plan, it's saying 36.3.
Yep, and that's the plan that Andrew has. up on the
December 30th, 2024.
Yeah, that's what we have, but the red line on our plan is in the
red line
correct
there, right?
spot. Right.
So
Right? I mean,
this is,
that red line shows everything included.
Yeah. So the question is,
What is the distance to the
Yeah.
rear lot line?
Yeah, so the original plan shows the front setback to 19.6. This one is shown to 23.7. So for some reason, it got moved back 4 feet.
But why is that reason?
That's incorrect.
Yeah, must have been a drafting mistake or something. But it should lie within.
So the one that we have that shows it is, I don't understand, but
Does
ours,
that have anything to do with the height requirement and the fact that you have to do like retaining walls and stuff around to get the height?
I can't see this
it's really hard to say.
blind.
Work?
Can't read that.
With the average grade around the house to make the height of the building work, right?
Look at that red line on the plan.
That's what it seems.
Right there.
I can't see that.
Yeah, I think it was just
Red line there
a
showing-
correction from an original drawing that was adjusted to make it fit on the property properly.
So we got 2 sets of stamped engineered plans. which
That are
we
different.
go with.
Right.
yeah, the key takeaway that I hope you're hearing is that we're not going to permit a new encroachment.
And we agree.
We can't give you a special permit for a new encroachment. That would require a variance.
We agree.
You've not applied for a variance, so we wouldn't, but we can't give you.
So Bob, could we condition the plan to be drawn accurately, or should we extend this?
You should really get the proper plan.
I agree. All right, so I'm going to move that we continue 2508 Ronald and Sherry Murphy, 43 Bayview Street, When's our next meeting, Nancy?
It's February 11th.
February 11th to February 11th.
Is
Do I have a
that-
second?
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm still on vacation time.
It's February 11th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
Jean Lee, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
So we'll see, please get the correct.
Brian?
Yeah.
So this
Can
is
I make a suggestion that we,
11?
that the grades be addressed on here so that we can make sure that the height.
Yes, the height is correct.
They're pushing the height, so I want to make sure that the grades and any, around the house is also addressed.
So make sure you submit that and give Andrew time to review everything, okay?
Will do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So next, we have 2509, Andrew Maritz. Hi. The petitioner is seeking a variance in accordance with 305-1011 of the Marshfield Municipal Code for relief from 305-607 accessory buildings to construct a 24-foot by 26-foot detached garage, which will be located 7.7 feet from the principal structure on the property located at 935 Union Street, further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel B160118 and is located in the R1 zoning district. Go ahead, name and address for the record.
My name is Andy Moretz, and I'm at 935 Union Street. Should I
go ahead?
Go through the...
Well, just tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, so we're seeking to build a two-car garage. There's a fairly significant amount of renovation going on the property currently, and we're being mindful of kind of accessibility considerations, and so we would like to put a two-car garage in a location in which it would not encroach on the setback with the neighbors, nor on the setback to the road, which is Union Street, but would be 7.7 feet from our own house. Andrew, do you have the other, I don't know, is that Andrew driving the screen?
Yes, it is.
There's a different, there's a newer diagram, but I can talk to this one if that's not handy. Do you know, Andrew?
If Nancy can give me the file,
It should be I think it's dated September.
Andrew, I can send it to you myself.
It should be in there.
Did you see Bob's? Let's see his on. It's right up for the,
Did we hear from
Grant
health
does
department?
I just opened everything, so.
Let me see if I can find it, Andrew. Hold on a second.
Did we hear from the health department? Did we hear from the health department? About this?
Yeah, I sent it to you guys.
Okay.
Hey, Andrew, I just sent it if you can look at your inbox.
they didn't write a grant of that, right? Runs out of paper.
Where is it?
Insert update, and conditions. I don't have that page. Move to deny, right?
Mhm.
So many garages on a slab.
I think I see that page.
On a septic tank, a pump chamber, how do you change
Yeah, that's great. If you, scroll it up so we can see Union Street down bottom, if you don't mind, please.
So it's before that, it's like.
So maybe, that's great. Thanks, Andrew. That's perfect. Thank you. So, So we're, basically, you can see where Union Street is. The yellow stuff is an addition that's happening on the property. It's not livable there currently, so we're not living there yet. We're moving.
Sorry, I don't mean to be rude. Can you just explain, the yellow part is what you're working on right now?
Yeah, there's currently construction, there's currently a significant amount of construction. That's an addition that's adding on to the house that's adjacent to it. So we're proposing.
So did you get a building permit for the thing in yellow?
Oh, yeah, yes, definitely, and Andrew's been over there a million times, and.
Andrew, did you issue a building permit knowing that it needed a variance?
No, this isn't.
No, this is
No,
no.
so-
It says it's in progress.
Yeah, the yellow part is in progress, that doesn't need a variance, that's happening. The subject of this petition tonight is the blue building. If you could go back to that picture you were just on?
Let me explain something, Andy.
Yeah.
This is the current building permit that was added to this dwelling, which meets all setbacks. It's a non-conforming property, but the structure itself is conforming and everything about it. So yes, it was granted a building permit for this addition with Board of Health approval and the standard building permit process. Now they're seeking a variance to add the second structure over here, which is why they're in front of us tonight.
Yeah, so we're
Third structure.
Yeah, so we're proposing to create a two-car garage. It's constrained on the width. The depth of it is not really constrained by setbacks very much, but the width is constrained. So we're seeking to do sort of the narrowest garage that's kind of meets ADA accessibility guidelines for, for being able to get in at least two cars, two sides of the one car, one side of the other car. And the best alternative location, and Andrew again has been out to the property many times, the green box is drawn in where the best alternative location would be that does not, violate any setbacks. And the green path is the path that would be taken by pedestrian or wheelchair or anyone to get into the house. So the blue path is about 15 feet long and gains less than a foot of elevation. The green path is about 125 feet long and gains about 8 feet of elevation, going from the green garage, the green location into the house versus the blue location into the house. So it's basically we're seeking to, and the purple circled thing is the subject of this petition. That those buildings would be separated by 7.7 feet rather than the 10-foot requirement in the rule that we're seeking a variance from. And again, it's just to solve for accessibility in a reasonable way. I think it's also, I don't know how much aesthetics can weigh into it, but obviously if the garage were situated in the green location, then the view from the Union Street, there would be just a wheelchair ramp the whole length of the front of the house, which obviously is not ideal aesthetically, but I'm not sure how much that's a factor in this process. So again, the setbacks to the neighbor and to the street we're not seeking to encroach on the neighbor or the street. We're seeking to encroach on our own primary structure by a small amount.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Yes.
Corey Hensley. So you're making this to become ADA accessible or some form of that?
Yes.
Are you transforming, like when this ramp that I see green and blue, when that hits the house, is that going to be from that point in the house? Are you creating more ADA accessibility from that point on as well?
Yeah, the house were the yellow stuff that's in progress, and the whole house is being very much designed to be very, one floor friendly. It's an antique house, and there's an upstairs with a bedroom and an office. those, are usable and available, but we're creating a bedroom on the first floor and everything else on the first floor, and so the entire property is being very consciously designed to be kind of a single floor thing. So, yeah, once the blue or green path enters the house, a person does not need to change levels at all.
So do you have any renderings or anything? Like, this is like kind of, like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, it's kind of crazy, honestly.
Well, so I have the hand drawn, it's just meant to be a very simple rectangular structure, just a
Well, the
a
relief
simple-
that you're seeking is anything but simple. The relief that you're seeking is extraordinary. You're seeking a variance from the law. So at a minimum, you should have stamped, signed plans submitted, not something that looks like it was drawn by someone that's not a professional.
It was drawn by me, and I apologize, so I thought this drawing was sufficient to convey the
It is
the
not.
petition. Okay.
It is not.
Okay, so that, I accept that, of course, so what,
Why wouldn't, pardon me, why wouldn't you just want to connect it to your house and make an addition off your house?
Yeah, why detached?
if it's connected,
Attached right to your property.
if it's connected to the house, then the setback to the neighbor becomes 20 feet rather than 10 feet. And so it
If you
doesn't,
moved it
What?
to your house, we'd be
that's,
increasing the setback.
that's my reading of the Marshfield laws.
You're right.
If it's attached, yeah, so I believe as a detached structure, it's got a 10-foot requirement to the neighbor, but if it's attached, then it has a 20-foot requirement. So it doesn't, it ends up not solving the
I was reading that, 26,
width
that's why I
problem.
was, with this drawing.
Is there a solution as simple as make it smaller?
I mean, again, it's the smallest width that meets ADA guidance on a two-car garage. Of course, it could be a one-car garage. We're investing fairly significantly in the town and in this property. A two-car garage is certainly in that area is quite common, if not, garage is bigger than that. So, we would love not to have to do a one-car garage. That would, of course, fit, but we would like to do a two-car garage. We're, again, encroaching on our own primary structure by a small amount. It seems like any sort of fire concerns are well mitigated in the sense that firefighters with equipment and vehicles can access all the relevant spots.
Not with a ramp.
I'm sorry?
Not with a ramp, they're not. If you said there's a ramp between the two buildings, then there's no way anybody's driving a vehicle between the two buildings if there is a wooden ramp between them.
Well, but they're basically at the same elevation, so that I don't think it's much of a ramp at all. I think it's really just it's a fairly flat structure.
Well, why not try to use the existing garage,
What existing garage?
the other structure?
Isn't there another structure on the property?
There's another structure.
Andrew, can you pull up the aerial view on Google?
And is somebody in the house have a disability that needs to have everything ADA compliant? Is that what's going on here?
My mom is in a wheelchair, and we're just, my wife and I are in our 60s, and we're just generally wanting to plan the house to be, accessible, just as a,
Yep, I get it.
while we're doing all this work, we just think it's just
Right, I get it.
a good thing to do.
I was just wondering if it was like
Yeah.
something.
I go by it daily, it's coming out beautiful, by the way.
Oh, thank you
Looks
very much.
fantastic.
Thank you.
I just want to add one more thing.
Sure.
I have no problem with the project. I think the two-car garage would be fine there, except it does break the rule. We have denied variances for much less than this.
Yeah.
So that's just my 2 cents on it. I feel it can be hypocritical to even consider it further from right now.
Well, we don't have it, it's not applying for a variance, so, right, he didn't apply for a variance.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
That's what he's here for.
Okay, so we need some renderings. We need to have.
Well, I think we need this, before we have him do renderings, let's see how we feel about this.
Even with a set of stamped engineered plans, I don't see that you meet the standard for the granting of a variance. However, I'm willing to listen to your argument. I assume you've read what the standard for the granting of a variance is?
I have read it, and I filled in the Form 2B, which addresses the different considerations.
What is the hardship to the lot, not the hardship to you?
You mean the unique characteristics of the topography?
Well, if the variance isn't granted, you could start there, sure. What is unique about your
Yeah, so I mean,
location
we
here?
we didn't want to level the antique structure that's from the 1800s. So we're sort of fitting things around that. And, the ground slopes down fairly considerably toward that green area. And, it's a distance across the driveway and so on. So it's really, again, it's really, we're not trying to do anything, I don't think, extravagant or extraordinary in our minds here. I understand that it's seeking a variance, which is an important matter, but, we're just trying to create a modest garage that is decent from an accessibility standpoint. Yes, we can put it in that green location. I think it'll look much worse from the street. It'll be a much longer and more of a slope of an access path.
To that entry point.
And that is the closest entry point. Andrew, again, you've been there, you know the kind of the shape of things. I think that green path that's the best, that's the shortest, easiest access path from the green garage.
So your answer to the second question, the literal enforcement of the provisions of the zoning bylaw would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the undersigned for the following reasons. Literal enforcement would create enormous hardship for wheelchair-bound household members. The enforcement of the bylaw is that you comply with the setback requirements, and you're seeking a variance from that. The hardship has to be to the lot, not to the applicant. So you can have what you want on the property, it's just not, it's going to cause some additional expense. There's going to be expense either way, it's just some additional expense. That is not a substantial hardship in my estimation. Additionally, the relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good for the following reasons. Anytime you create a new encroachment, that is substantial detriment to the public good. The town of Marshfield adopted the setback requirements for reasons, and that's what everyone in town is held to that standard. What you're saying is my circumstances are so special that the law that applies to everybody else in the town of Marshfield should not be applied to me because of these special circumstances. I've not heard any evidence that you meet the standard for the granting of those special circumstances. I've heard that it's what you want, I've heard it would be convenient, but you have another building on the property. You're creating this massive addition to the property that apparently is very attractive. I'm sure it is. The house itself is gorgeous. I've driven by it thousands of times. But this new garage, you just want it where you want it. You don't want it where you don't want it. That doesn't meet the standard for the granting of a variance, the waiving of requirements that everyone else is
I
held.
got to plead ignorance on, I don't know the laws and how that, it's just, in just plain kind of regular guy terms though, we're trying to build a modest garage and it's, think of the difference on an accessibility requiring person of doing that blue path every time or doing that green path every time. It's an enormous difference, right? And we're not seeking to encroach on the neighbor, we're not seeking to encroach on the street. And we're seeking to encroach just a very small amount on the house in order to solve this. And I don't know, like, the rules and the laws, but it seems like, I was hoping it would seem like a
I
reasonable
think
ask of the.
if you shrunk it down 3 feet and attached it to the house, you'd be in compliance, correct? Because you got 41.7 over, and if I'm reading it right, your garage is gonna be 24 feet, you need 20 feet on the side. So if you attach to the house and you shrunk it 3 feet, you're gonna,
Well, yeah, I mean, we could either leave it there and shrink it 3 feet, or we could attach it to the house and still have to shrink it 3 feet.
Yeah.
Because the side
Yeah.
setback becomes 20 feet rather than 10 feet. But again, the ADA guidance is 7 feet width per car and 4 feet minimum.
Three.
Access.
3 feet, not 4.
On the sides.
So Bob, do you have anything to
That's
add?
my understanding from 20 years of being disabled.
Okay.
Bob, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have an engineered plan, everything's not to scale, and I think that there's another variance that you asked for, and that's the side yard setback. I don't know whether.
What's the variance, the other setback you're
A
at?
detached accessory structure has to be set back 10 feet from side property line.
The proposed blue structure is 10 feet from the side line.
I couldn't tell that based on a sketch plan.
Yeah,
I can't either, so.
I can improve that, but I can come back with professional drawings, but would I be creating professional drawings for this group to reject
For
this?
this
I think you
particular
understand the
project,
gist of what I'm
if you want,
proposing.
I can ask, but I don't see that this is
I
going
mean,
to pass.
I've not seen anybody come in for a variance like this.
I haven't either,
Without
so.
coming in with a surveyed plan to make sure that the distances are all accurate.
Well,
Again,
I mean,
but I think
the-
before we have him do that, we should probably see what how the board feels about it.
Yeah, and I mean,
You have another issue too, when you have a Board of Health issue.
Yeah.
I understand the Board of
Building
Health,
has
and we have the,
setback 10 feet from the septic system.
right.
Yeah.
We have a few problems here.
Is
so.
that,
yes, that building is 10 feet. Of course, I can come back with a professional version of this diagram, but you see the 41.7 foot marker. I think it makes it right.
The
going
plan's
across-
really, honestly, it's a mess. So, I mean, you would have to come back with something we can understand, but I think that, while you're here, you should ask us if this is something we're agreeable to.
Yeah, and
We have a second option on the plan. I don't know that I would want to waste your time.
can Andrew make it bigger? I literally can't see a thing, other than the nice colors, which they're lovely, but.
Andrew, can I just point to, Andrew, can you zoom in a
Okay.
bit, please?
Bob, I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Grover.
Is there any ADA laws or anything that trumps this variance statute that we have?
No.
Thank
Andrew, could you zoom in a bit, please?
Make it a one-car garage.
Bottom right-hand corner. I'm not sure Andrew can hear you.
Oh, sorry.
You have to be at the microphone.
Andrew, can you zoom in a bit,
I
please?
can't hear, yeah, unless somebody's speaking into a microphone, I can't hear anything.
I can't hear anything.
We can't see the plan, he can't hear us.
He wants you to zoom in on the plan, please, Andrew.
On the what?
On the
On the
plan.
plan, we really can't see anything.
Yeah, just zoom in so that people in the room can see it.
There you go.
That's great.
Thank you.
So, that, and again, I
Yep, we got
acknowledge
it.
that you would like to have professional drawings, they can come back with professional drawings. This, the distance from the house to the setback line is marked here as 41.7 feet. And this building this blue building is obviously hand-drawn, but it's meant to be drawn parallel to that line, the front parallel to that line. So it's kind of I'm sort of making use of that measurement.
So you're saying that you have to be 7 feet, we can't see anything here, but you're saying that if this building
This
was,
setback is fine here. This
that
is
setback
10 feet.
is, right, but what
This
is the one
setback to
on?
the septic
I understand
is
that,
also
but what about the one off the house, which you're asking for? How
That's the
far is
problem there. So
it?
that,
How big is that? 7 foot what?
that would be 7'7", 7.7 feet instead of.
So you need, if you shrunk this thing by 2.3 feet, Andrew, he would meet the standard?
Or just move it?
And if he shrunk the building from 24 feet down to 21 foot 7 or whatever,
21.7.
I mean, technically.
21 foot
also
3.
There's a bulkhead right here, so the bulkhead encroaches into that 10-foot area too.
Yeah.
I mean, I generally don't necessarily consider bulkheads to be building area.
Yeah,
Is
does the
it-
bulkhead count?
is it a metal roof on there, or is there a doghouse?
On the bulkhead?
Yeah,
It's currently old rusted metal. We're replacing it and we can
okay.
replace
But
it.
I mean, so if he shrinks this down to 20,
21.7 would be within the setbacks. So I'm really
so
here.
then he wouldn't have to be here, right,
I
Andrew?
wouldn't have to be here at 21.7, so I'm here asking if I could get
Right,
it
so I
24
think
width.
I would move this down to 21.7.
And you have to be 10 feet from the septic.
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, that's all honors. It might not be drawn
I mean, I
well
don't-
there, but
If you want to, I mean, you could withdraw without prejudice, or you could let us vote, or you want to go and draw a plan, it's up to you.
well, I mean, I'd prefer to do it as 24-foot width. If
I understand that.
this group does not want to, approve that, then that's,
I mean, I personally don't see how that would fly, honestly.
fly in terms of what?
No, I'd be a no. That's what you're asking right now with what
You
we
need
have.
4 votes, and it doesn't look like you have it, so you can withdraw without prejudice, which, that means you could bring it back at some point if you
You
felt
just
it.
don't want to go put it over where it
That
could
might be a
be,
good idea.
Well, he can leave it
Put it
there.
over what?
where the green area where it,
Well, again, that's a 125-foot length path with an 8-foot elevation difference that needs to be overcome.
Aesthetically, you got it going on like this, but I think Brian is right on the money. Just shrinking it up a little bit is gonna be.
Then it works.
Solve your problem. Instead of having 2 garage doors, maybe have one large.
You can
single
squeeze
big
one
door.
with 21 foot,
Yeah.
what you have.
You have a. there's
You
a
can
lot
get 2
going on
garage
with the
doors
property
in there.
already with the, existing dwelling, the expansion of it. You're all in compliance. It's a beautiful lot. It's a large lot. It's over an acre. Already have another dwelling on it. Just a lot going on. I think you'd be better off just,
Oh, I mean, all you have to do is shrink it a couple of feet, and then it's compliant. Well, I mean, assuming you got to deal with the septic system, you got to get an engineer involved here.
Well, of course, we will, I just wanted to understand whether we could.
If you'd like to
build it.
continue and come back with a plan, but I just don't think that, I
Well, it
don't,
sounds like this group is not
yeah,
supportive.
I would agree with you.
Okay.
I don't want to see you waste your money. But if you withdraw without prejudice, that means you can come back at some other point if you felt that you had them, rather than us turn you down.
the other property, the other carriage house that's on there, is that a?
These are his 2 options.
I know, I'm just asking a question. I can ask a question about what's going on the property. He's already brought it into play. I can ask a question.
The
The
carriage
carriage
house.
house, is that for cars?
It would need to be almost like raised and rebuilt to become a garage.
I was just wondering what was happening.
Yeah, it's not,
It would be like
yeah.
something you could, okay, that was my
The
question.
floor's not strong enough to hold up
I know, I
cars
drove it.
and.
I looked at it.
And on and on and on
Well, I
from there.
did look at
It is
it, so
beautiful.
I had
Yeah,
questions
no, that's a
about it.
perfectly reasonable question.
Thank
So we tried.
Good looking house.
We actually tried very hard to use that as a garage.
Okay.
And it was just going to be impossible. So that's how we wound up with this blue versus green thing here. We were hoping that we could kind of do the decent width of 24 feet. Sounds like this group is not.
now, the other structure that's on the property, do you plan on using that as an accessory dwelling at a later date, like it was
What?
used at 1.4, correct?
I mean,
Plan with it?
it's, I don't want to get in trouble by answering this the wrong way. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm
No,
I'm sort
no,
of
no,
in some legal.
I knew the gentleman that
That is a pre-existing non-conforming.
Thank you, Andrew. I need.
Pre-existing
My lawyer will respond to this one.
You're not getting yourself in trouble.
Special permit to extend and alter that with a
Right.
dormer.
I knew the gentleman that owned it.
Bill Metz, yeah.
He's a very nice man, and it's a beautiful piece of property.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
You know, if you were gonna keep that, that'd be one thing, but if you weren't gonna keep that, you could put the garage right there.
Yeah,
So
and
if
again,
your
we,
intention is
yeah,
to
we,
keep that, then
that's
great.
what, we tried very hard to make that carriage house into a garage, and it was just, it was just, again, the floor
So
was.
you're gonna use that structure for something else.
Whatever else.
Yeah, so that's just sort of a little spare
That
living
clarifies
space.
what I was getting at. Because if you weren't, if it was just gonna be something that was gonna be used as a shed, I'd say put it right there, where
Right.
that is.
So what would you like to do?
Well, I mean, your group has made your wishes clear.
So if you withdraw without prejudice, you can always come back. I think.
I guess it doesn't hurt, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So would you like to withdraw without prejudice?
Yes,
Do
thank
you
you.
have to put something in writing just to Nancy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get something in writing to Nancy tomorrow,
Just
please.
email her.
Okay,
You can just
All
send
right.
her an email.
Sorry.
thank you.
And good luck with the rest of it.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so the only thing we have left is to move,
Two things.
which is it? Oh, two? What's the other thing?
There's the, pick a date for the site visit for off Main Street. And, actually before that is, 33 13th Road is requested to continue. to
Yeah, they
November.
asked for an extension of time. All right, so, 2479 Janine and William Cook, 33 13th Road have asked to be extended to February 11th at 2025 meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Ryan Murphy, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye?
Jean Lee, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Rob Ramsey, aye.
And so the other one is the site visit.
Yes.
You guys can decide whatever you'd like on a site visit.
And who is the,
Zero Main Street site visit, who's
Bob,
interested?
you're gonna be like the canary in the coal mine. You're gonna
Yeah,
go
I know, but
forward,
who is
get
the,
all the ticks, and then
is that
clear the
someone
way
else
for
who's
us.
doing it?
Sounds like he already
Going on
has.
that one. You guys are all
I'm
set.
waiting by the
It's
street.
Morse, okay, I couldn't remember who it was.
I'll just drive my Jeep.
I'm not going.
I'll go.
Okay, so what do you guys want for a date?
I'm good any afternoon time, I'm back.
I'm good anytime before 3 o'clock.
That'll fit me.
So pick a date, whoever wants to pick a date.
Between
When's it
noon
getting
and
warm
2?
Yeah.
We told them February 11th.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
July,
like, it's gonna be next
August
week.
10th.
Yeah, probably next week sometime.
Fabulous. Is there a good time?
Pick it so they can.
If you guys have a
Public
date,
meeting
Hold on one
notice.
second, let me
what's
get-
Are
that?
they,
You pick it, because I need the 48 hours.
You know,
for public
to make
meeting
the
notice.
public notice. So we'll do it next week,
You
and
wanna do it Tuesday?
it's up to these guys.
so is,
I will not be there.
I won't be
I
there.
can't do it Tuesday, I can do it Wednesday or Monday.
Okay, Wednesday or Monday?
Wednesday's not a good for me, Monday. I-
Monday's not long enough. Well, it will be long enough, right?
Long enough to get an answer?
We
Yeah,
need
to
48
post the
hours.
meeting.
Oh, shoot.
Or Thursday,
I'm good for Thursday.
Thursday's fine.
the
by me.
first.
Oh, wait a minute.
I'll show up on Thursday, but I'm not walking through the woods.
The 28th.
We'll take your Jeep.
I'll drive through the woods.
So Thursday's.
Bob
6th,
seems to
okay.
think it might be a little squishy.
So Thursday the 6th, everyone
Maybe
good with
an
that?
amphibious Jeep.
If Mac never wants to see his Jeep again,
Is it Thursday the first?
Galvin's Creek.
No, this
Thursday is
Thursday's
the
Oh, the 6th, yeah.
6th.
Next Thursday, Grover.
Thank you. That's because I'm looking in May. So-
I'll go in May.
All right,
that
so
works.
February 6th, what time do people want to go there?
You said it's gotta be before 3?
Before 3, I have
1
a car
o'clock?
pickup at 3. 1, okay.
1 o'clock,
Grover,
okay with
good?
you, Grover?
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right,
Is there a place to park there so that I can?
right on the road, there'll be snow there.
Yeah.
You'll be taking your life in your own
Parking-
hand.
parking-
There is a little turn-in,
Yeah,
and if I get there first, that's where I'll
I'm
be.
turning in.
there really isn't anywhere to park
No.
that I know of.
I pulled on the side of the road, you're gonna be on the shoulder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the shoulder or falling off.
So is this just for us, right?
The
It's not a
no,
public.
yes.
Is
the
this
public
a
can go,
public,
they
or
can't
can
ask
stay?
questions.
Okay.
They can stay on,
How about
off
they also
of
need
private
permission?
property.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm wondering, because we had that before, where
Public,
they were
public
like,
can't count on being allowed on the property.
Yeah, they can stand in the right of way, they can't go on the
Yeah.
property.
I think it's staying in the road.
And Greg Morse said that he wanted to be there to guide.
Yeah, he said he was gonna have somewhat of a path.
And his hip waders.
Yeah, he said there's a path, so.
Yeah.
All right, so February 6th, what is, 1 o'clock?
1
1
PM. Yep.
o'clock, and I'll send an email to Greg.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Move to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Ryan Murphy, aye?
Heidi Comier.
Jean Lee, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Rohan's,
Thank you.